Hi everyone, it's Bulldog back with another video, another edition of Mod Battles. This time we are going to compare offensive mod sets versus critical damage mod sets. And if you've been on the forums, you know there's a bunch of debate on the exact calculation and trying to figure out which of these is better. What I'm going to do is simply take two different mod sets. I'm going to have an offensive mod set and a critical damage mod set. They're going to have the exact same offensive secondaries on them. I'm going to just throw them on several different characters. I've got 6 different attackers we're going to use here. And then we're going to take a look at the damage output. The way I'm going to calculate this is I'm going to take the actual offensive numbers that the game gives me, the actual critical chance numbers that the game gives me, and I'm going to use each character's basic attack and just run the numbers and see what the damage gives me. Now this will be the damage before defense, before offense up, any of those bonuses. Most of those will not have any impact on which mod set does the most damage. You'll see at the very end of the video we will talk about some of the factors that will change that. And what we're going to see is that for all of these characters there's a certain critical chance percentage that you have to achieve in order for critical damage mods to be superior than offensive mods. And the general theme that you're going to see is high critical chance characters are going to prefer critical damage mods. Lower critical chance characters are going to prefer offensive mods. So let's just jump right in here and take a look at what we've got. I'm going to show you the exact pieces of gear I have on all of these characters, because the more offense you have from your Gear 12 gear, the more that's going to favor critical damage mods, because the offense from the Gear 12 pieces do not get factored into your offensive mod set bonuses. So anyways, here's Han Solo first. You see we're actually not, the only piece that we're missing has no offense on it, so he's essentially maxed as far as damage is concerned. And when we run the numbers, we find that a critical damage set is actually going to be best for Han Solo. He's going to have a break-even critical chance of 70%. He has very high critical chance just naturally. Then he gets an additional bonus with his unique that grants him even more critical chance. So he is going to benefit from critical damage sets. Although you can see from these numbers, the overlying theme is going to be there's not really that big of a difference. Of course, we want to min and max everything, get the most damage out of these characters as we can. Usually we're talking about a couple hundred damage, if that. Now, I do want to stress from the very beginning here that these are my numbers with my characters and my mods. So not everybody's going to have the exact same numbers, but these will help give you a general idea of what to expect when you're using different mods. So we'll go on and move on to the next character, which is Commander Luke Skywalker. You can see here I am missing a decent offensive piece. He's got some agility from his G12 plus gear. He's very close to maxed out though. And again, you're going to see damage numbers that are very close again. His break-even crit chance is a little bit higher at 74%. In my example, I don't have him that high. His critical chance was actually 64%. So an offensive mod set would be better for my Commander Luke Skywalker, but again, it's very close. Here's our next character, which is Darth Vader. Darth Vader has a much lower critical chance percent. My Darth Vader only has a 48% chance to land a critical hit, and because of that, you are going to see that the offense set is clearly superior in this case. On his basic attacks, on average, he'll do 400 more damage before defense than the critical damage set. His low critical chance combined with his higher break-even crit chance, which is up at 80%, makes it very clear that this character needs an offensive set. But even in a case like this, what we're going to see is that you're probably better off simply going with whatever your best set is, whichever ones have the best speed secondary numbers, whichever sets have the best offensive secondary numbers. Because even in a case where the offensive mod set is clearly the winner, the difference is only 400 damage, which before defense isn't all that much. Whenever you're hitting for as much damage as these characters hit for now, we're talking about a fairly low percentage that's honestly not going to be worth stressing out over. Yes, if you have the preference, you want to go with the offensive set. If you are farming mods from here on out, you've probably got a bunch of critical damage mods, so it might be a good idea to start farming some offensive mods so that you have some for the characters that need it, but it's really not worth making a huge deal over. We'll continue on to some of these other characters here. Next up is maybe one of my favorite characters in the game, Wampa. Now, at first glance, it's going to look like he clearly needs an offensive set as well, although you do have to keep in mind that he has an ability that will increase his critical chance. So if a battle goes very long at all, he's going to have max critical chance, which is going to swing the balance heavily towards the critical damage set. So it might depend on where you're using him. If you're using him in arena, an offensive set might make sense because the battles don't generally go that long. If you're using him in raids, you definitely want a critical damage set. Absolutely no doubt about it. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that there are some other factors that can change which set is better. And next we're going to look at a couple of characters that will showcase that a little bit. One of the biggest factors is critical damage. We're going to look at Resistance Trooper here because Jedi Training Ray has a leader ability that will increase the critical damage by 30%. So I've shown his standard numbers here like I did for the other four characters, but I've also added another percentage, a second percentage here that factors in the increased critical damage from JTR's lead. And you can see how much it changes things. The break-even critical chance percent jumps up 10% from 70% to 79%. Now in this case, I would still actually recommend a critical damage set for Resistance Trooper because of the bonus critical chance from Jedi Training Ray's lead. But you can see how it can make a significant difference on which mod set you would want. So we'll show that with another character here where you'll see it even better, and that's Boba Fett. Boba Fett gets an additional 50% critical damage if he is the leader. So that's going to have a big impact here. When we run the numbers without his lead, 75% is the line where critical damage sets become better. But when you throw in that increased critical damage from his lead, that line jumps up to 95%. So offensive mods become clearly superior. It gets almost to the 100% mark where offensive mods are better all the time. So it is possible to create some scenarios where the offensive mod set will always be your best option. But in general, there's going to be a percent where the critical damage mods become better. And if you can stack your critical chance percent above that line, you're going to want a critical damage set. Almost all of the cases I looked at, that line was between 70 and 80%. So the big takeaway from this is probably that 75% should be your target number. If you can get your critical chance above 75%, and keep in mind that you have to adjust for uniques, leader abilities, opponent's leader abilities such as Treya, which can decrease your critical chance significantly. But if you can get your critical chance above 75%, you're going to want a critical damage set. So that's the big takeaway from here. I appreciate everybody for watching the video all the way through. If you have any questions, I know we went through that very fast, but leave some comments down below. I'll be sure to answer as many questions as I can. Shoot me some messages on Discord, the forums, Reddit, wherever you want. I'm very happy to help out. Let me know what else you want to see, what other mod you would like to compare, any other videos you want. I'll do my best to get to anything you guys want to see. So thanks once again, and have a great night.